Tom Clark's 6M podcast is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show. Hey, what is up? Welcome to Tom Clark's 6M podcast. I'm your host, Tom Clark, and in this episode, I'm joined by co-host Phil Lindsey.
We have only mentioned Robtert Townsend in passing here on the show, which is a crime because I grew up watching Hollywood Shuffle. I freaking love that movie. When it hit like HBO, man, I watched it. I had recorded on like a VHS tape, and I literally watched that movie like 1,000 times. I think I actually wore the tape out at some point and had to record it again or something like that. It was crazy. Me and a buddy of mine just freaking loved that movie, just laughed all the way through and thought it was great. And Townsend, just a crazy talented guy. This, however, is not the Hollywood Shuffle podcast. Keep your eyes open, kids. That one's coming, I assure you. But instead, this time, we're doing the 5 Heartbeats. This is an amalgamation of different, groups from back in the day. There's a lot to get to here on this episode. And if you haven't seen this movie in a while, it's as corny as you remember it. Not a bad flick. I'm just saying there's several moments of it being, it's a little goofy in parts or whatever it is. But then there's other moments that kind of take you by surprise and you're really not ready for it when it gets serious. We'll get into all that here today. But first, this. The 5 Heartbeats is a 1991 musical drama film directed by Robtert Townsend, who co-wrote the script with Keenan Ivory Wayans. Produced and distributed by 20th Century Fox, the film's main cast includes Townsend and an assembled list of actors and actresses who fill the roles of not only the band, but various other cast members, various other characters in the film as the 5 Heartbeats. The film depicts the rise and fall of a Motown-inspired soul act through the eyes of one of the Heartbeats, Donald Duck Matthews, which is, of course, Mr. Townsend himself. Released, as we said, March 29th in 1991. Not too long after this dude's birthday. And man, 91 was a while back, wasn't it? Running time is 122 minutes. The budget for this film was around 9 to 10 million. This movie only made around 8.7 million. This was not a box office smash, not what we're talking about here today. We're talking about it for other reasons. But that is your lowdown on the 5 Heartbeats. Phil, it got me thinking to do this because you referenced that line from Flash. You've done it more than once on one of our shows, and you did it recently. And I was like, man, we've never done the 5 Heartbeats. So kick us off with that line. And how long has it been since you've seen this movie?
I watch 5 Heartbeats probably every few months. It is a cult classic. I quote it a lot. It's impossible to not quote it for me because I watch it so often. It's a classic movie for me.
You got to give me the line, man. What's the line Flash says?
The Flash, it's lonely at the top.
Yeah.
It's coming out soon.
Coming out soon. It's like, by the way, now that we're all here.
Yeah, I just, I have this whole speech prepared, like, never worked with any more warm, kind, and giving brothers than these guys next to me. And that's why this is a sad occasion. Because I'm also going solo.
Oh, man, it's fun. Oh, it's so good. That spot took on a added level of importance because you quote the line, and I cracked up even more over it. Man, dude, this is very much, and I'm not trying to compare and contrast, this is very much in some points like, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, but not as much as this movie's trying to be silly. I don't think anything's trying to be silly. But in terms of the tropes that's in this movie, Phil, and there's a reason why the tropes exist, because a lot of this stuff is true to life. I mean, a lot of these characters were based on real musicians, real singers back in the day. I mean, what does that do for you for this movie? Like, it just adds texture to it. I mean, what's your take on all that?
Yeah, I think it adds to the story of the movie that it's based on loosely on some real life people. I think the satire and stuff in here actually hits as well because um it does have like the real world like weight to it. And some of the comedy that they do does like hit a little bit harder because of that.
Yeah, because it's the typical like young guys, they're unknowns, they're working hard through a strange, twist of events, twist of fate. They end up getting a record deal, and then one of them goes off the rails, and they can't get him back. And there's infighting, and then there's the guy that comes in, and it's all about the money and the drugs and the women, and there's betrayal and everything. And man, there's a reason why this stuff works, kids, is because it's actually happening in real life, man, for sure. Um, I know you said you watch this was like every couple of months. I mean, did you? And you're a younger guy than I am, but when did you first discover this film? Do you remember?
Uh I was really young. I had to be like the 90s. I don't remember the exact point, but I remember the first time I saw it. I believe I rented it from Blockbuster. So
Mm.
this, um, but yeah, nah, it's just one of those movies. Among black people that black people quote it a lot. Black people talk
Mm.
about it a lot. It's just like it's one of those things where I feel like a lot of times something will happen and I'll immediately equate it to a reference or a joke from Five Heartbeats.
That's good. So the cast in this movie, dude, is freaking wonderful. I mean, we're gonna have some fun with one of the guys because we've pointed out a few different times about the one guy. We'll get to him, but you know who I'm talking about. But
Yes.
such a great cast here, man. Before we really start cooking on this, we got to start with Robert Townsend. I mean, Townsend always seemed to me to be such a creative guy and a guy with a lot of ambition and a guy that wanted to do a lot of different things. And again, not to try to compare and contrast, but it kind of reminds me of the Kevin Smith story where Smith kind of came from out of nowhere and funded his first movie all on credit cards and tried to get his foot in the door. And he wasn't really making movies to get famous. He just made them because he wanted to make them. And I see some similarities here. How important do you think Robert Townsend is? Like, because again, dude, having creators that kind of come out of nowhere and do it like guerrilla, like sort of I don't know else to describe it, like guerrilla movie making, where you're not going to be told no, right? I mean, you're not gonna be denied. You're going to put yourself out there and go for it. How important is it that Townsend actually succeeded here, man?
Oh, I think it's extremely important. I think you equate him, like you said, to somebody like Kevin Smith, maybe somebody like Melvin Van Peebles, who was like,
Mm.
I'm just going to make this movie no matter what. I'm going to go through all of this because I really want to make a depiction of Black culture. And I think in that vein, he's been very important, um, whether it be from stuff he's done for TV, like Parenthood, the movies he's made, like Five Heartbeats, Meteor Man. Um, and just like you said, Hollywood Shuffle. I think he's extremely important. I think he's a legend.
Oh, dude, I couldn't agree more. I love this guy. Um, I know I've asked you recently, have you gotten into the Bear? Or was it the Bear? Have you been watching that yet?
I have not.
Give it a shot. I'm gonna remind you again. But number two, Robert Townsend plays one of the characters' dads in the show, and I legit didn't realize it was him because in my mind's eye, the Robert Townsend we see here in Hollywood Shuffle is that guy. That's who I envision when I think about Robert Townsend. But he's older. I don't remember if he's got the mustache still, but when reading the credits, I'm like, oh my God, that was him. And I didn't even freaking know it, man. So, nice little call out that he's involved with that show. But I agree with you, man. He's hugely important. And I think the more guys that we have like that succeed, especially these days. I mean, dude, I don't know if off the top of my head I can think of anybody like that right now. Can you? Anybody that's broken through without a studio backing their play? It's a tough
uh,
one.
no, I mean, you can compare him. I don't know if it's a really good comparison, but you can compare him in some ways to what Donald Glover has managed to do.
Mm.
But he's had a lot of backing, but that's also off the backs of him, writing for big shows and then getting a success on his own writing.
Yeah, that's true. And we mentioned the connection to Kevin Smith um, is actually, pretty apropos because uh, Hollywood Shuffle, which was his first film that he did max out his credit cards, and he spent nearly 100 grand of his own money raised through savings and various acting jobs in order to produce the film. And man, that's freaking insane to me. And like the Five Heartbeats is his first studio film.
Hmm.
But, dude, again, man, like that kind of guy's got to be an inspiration to young actors around him who are like, man, if this guy can do it, with basically nothing and made it happen. Like Hollywood Shuffle's such a fun movie, dude. I mean, that's got to be an inspiration to creators around him, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. Have you ever heard his story about his partner Warriors? He just told it on a podcast recently, so it's like fresh in my head.
I don't think so. No, what is it?
He talked about how he was supposed to just be like an extra. He was supposed to be like one of the gang members. But he made the creative choice, like when he walked in, he saw all of the other people running into this action scene. Everybody's getting hit with bottles, and like there's like it's like this big action scene because it's all of the gangs fighting, right? And
Mm.
so he was like, well, I'm not about to get hit with one of these bottles or something. So I'm gonna wait and by the first guy that falls, and I'm just gonna stand by him and shield him because I feel like that makes sense. Like I wouldn't just run straight into danger. I see my friend went down and I try to protect him. And he was like, I did that on the first take, and the director yelled cut, and he was like, he comes straight to me. He's like, you, the guy that stood around the guy, stay there, keep doing what you're doing. That's great.
Oh, wow.
And so he ended up doing that, and he ended up getting he ended up going from just an extra to a guy that was credited. Um and I feel like he was also like he told the story like that also inspired him to direct because he was like, I feel like I did something in that moment that showed I had the instincts. And he was like, I didn't even really think about it. I just was like, this just makes sense to me.
Man, what a great story. I freaking love that dude. That's awesome. Very cool. Did you know that he had auditioned for Saturday Night Live but lost out to Eddie Murphy?
I didn't.
Crazy, right? Hey, look, man, Eddie Murphy's a legend. I love him, but that would have been interesting to see Robert Townsend on Saturday Night Live, man. Wonder how that
Yeah.
would have been.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's weird to picture that.
I know, right? This guy's pretty cool. And plus, if you're going to lose out to somebody, I
Yeah.
mean,
Another
not a
legend.
bad guy to lose out to. So yeah, for sure. Um, he, as we said, Hollywood Shuffle came out. It came out in '87. Really good movie. We're definitely going to do that here on the 6M eventually. But man, this guy's filmography. It starts in '75 with Cooley High, and then a credits role as a basketball player. And then it goes from there. And his most recent role is 2023 as director on Power Book 4 Force. So yeah, he's man, his director credits, Phil, are crazy how many he's asked now.
Yeah.
Man, something
Legend.
else. Yeah, I mean, as long as the guy's been in the business, 100%. I mean, and that's the thing too, man, is having the respect of your peers. Cause like, good luck having a 5-year career in Hollywood. It's not the easiest thing in the world, man. To break through for one thing, and to make it as long as that guy has is freaking insane. Um, we have to get to this guy, and this is the one I was chuckling about earlier. Not because I don't like him, Phil, but Leon Robinson. You know him as Leon, all right? Because he was Little Richard. He was he David Ruffin?
Dave Ruffin.
Yeah. Because did what we did the Little Richard episode, and we said basically during that time period, if you needed someone to play that role, that's who you went and got. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I actually really freaking love him in this. Like, and I've never not been sold on his talent. That was never an issue to me. It's just at some points, Phil, it kind of felt like he was getting typecast, maybe in some weird way. I don't know. But what do you think about him here as in the role of Robert Townsend's brother?
I love Leon. I think he was great in Cool Runnings. I think he's
Yes.
I think he had a breakout role as David Ruffin. It's one of my favorite things he's done as an actor. That's another one I quote all the time. That ain't nobody here to see you, Otis.
It's good.
But no, he's great in this as well because he does the serious stuff well, but he does the stuff where he's trying to be like this Mac character, like this player, and he says so many things that are unintentionally funny. I guess in character for him, they're unintentionally funny, but they're supposed to be funny as an audience to the audience, and he's great. He nails all of the comedic stuff at the beginning when he's in the back with the girl, and he's just like, "What is? You just brought me here to have sex with me in this bathroom?" He was like, "Stop it." Brought you here because I thought you weren't a little girl. I thought you were a woman and know what you want. It's so great.
Yeah, I mean, some of the dialogue kind of lends itself to a little bit of humor, and plus his delivery, he can be very over the top. You know what I mean?
It's so good. Him doing the man. I'm not afraid to cry to get a girl to give it up. And then if they go tell somebody, I'm like, man, well, I look like I got to cry to get some.
Oh man, that's fun.
Oh, yeah, he's great, and he plays off Robert Townsend so good. Their characters together is so great because they're brothers in the movie, and their relationship and their chemistry is just so good. The shy guy stuff, so many scenes where they're arguing, it's just so good.
Oh, it's good and it's bad at the same time because they had to play that game. All right, you're the shy one this time, and then the guy he has to act all sheepish as the girl's like, look at him. The girl's looking over at him. You know what I mean? Oh my god, it's so good, utterly ridiculous. But did you have a buddy that you tried stuff like that with through the years, Phil? Be honest.
I did not. I did
No.
not.
I never had the nerve to do that. I don't know that it would have worked anyway, if I'm being honest with you. But it works. When you look like Leon, brother, it's going to work. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude, whew, yeah.
That is another line that I quote all the time. I got to fight every night to prove my love.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, the guy comes back from the bar because he took off with his girl. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and after he had basically screwed Duck because he thought they were going to do the shy guy thing, and he goes over there and starts talking to the girl for himself, and he walks away with her and ends up she's there with her boyfriend. I got to fight every night to prove my love.
It comes from out of nowhere too. It's kind of like what? Yeah. It's kind of like things that you think but you would never say out loud. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Leon, of course, he and Madonna were an item for a while, I think. I know he was in the video. I don't know why that just jumped into my head.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was in I don't know, one of those crappy Madonna songs in the 80s. I'm sorry, I've never been a fan. But
yeah, I don't know. For whatever reason, I just thought about the country record she made at one point. It's not really country, but it's like country pop. And just like the video and everything. I thought about that recently. I was like, what a career she had. Like what a so many different looks, so many different sounds, but I digress.
Hey, look, I'm not a fan. Okay, I'm gonna be straight with you. However, to be a woman in the business and last as long as she had and reinvent herself constantly and sell all the records she sold,
yeah,
I got a lot of respect for that, man. 100%. 100%. Can't deny the work she did, honestly. But yeah, just not personally a fan of that kind of music. That's just me though. But yeah, yeah, Leon's great here, man, as JT Matthews. And honestly, I didn't even know Leon's last name till now. Isn't that something?
Yeah, it's just Leon. That's how I've always known him.
It's just Leon. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know the guy had a name. It was news to me. It's like Cher or Beyonce, you know. Michael Wright as Eddie King Jr., who's basically, I mean, he's the David Ruffin character. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's also another one. He's classic moments. Several quotables. Can't nobody sing like Eddie Kane Jr.
Yeah.
Or his back and forth with Flash also. Of you want my spot? Well, you can't have it because you ain't me.
I got to tell you, man, as fun as he was on stage with the group and toward the end of the movie when he's, he comes to them in the parking lot, man, like, I don't know if the dude gets enough credit, but like, he's very good, man. Hey, kids, Tom Clark here, and did you know the very podcast you're listening to right now is available on boinkstudios.com. B-O-I-N-K, Boink Studios is the home of Tom Clark's Main Event, Tom Clark's 6M podcast, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Visit the site today for links to every podcast platform, social media, special announcements, and a lot more. Check out the site and bookmark today, boinkstudios.com. That could have been a be careful how you play this. If you play it too much one way or the other, it's going to be goofy. Man, it was sad. You know what I mean?
I think that's one of the great things about the movie, that the movie can do moments like that to have comedy in it, but also can be very serious. Because at first, when he comes up, and he still has like the old um outfit on under his trench coat. It's very funny. Like the noise he makes when he opens the trench coat, "Nyah,"
Yeah.
hilarious. But then when he actually starts singing, and you can see that he's like lost his voice, and he's like he don't have it anymore. It's like, oh wow, this is sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad. I mean, he did a great job, honestly. Yeah, I find it interesting, that like as we said at the jump of this, there's almost always a character that like just loses his way. And I mean, thankfully, he finds his way back toward the end or in the end, which is awesome because they all end up back together, which is great. Spoiler alert, kids, and if you haven't seen it yet, but um it was nice to see that, man, because they could just as easily have killed that character out of this movie because none of these folks are real. You know what I mean? But it was cool
Yeah,
they brought it back around.
yeah. I mean, David Ruffin doesn't get the happy ending in real life or in the Temptations movie that they did. Uh,
Mm.
so kind of the version of the Eddie Kane character kind of gets his happy ending, and it's good to see that because it gets very dark for him. There's always stuff like how many times did you watch this movie before you picked up stuff like Duck driving down the street, and he's listening to the radio, and Eddie Kane comes up on the radio for robbing that liquor store.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's just crazy. So yeah, I think he does several things in this movie that make it memorable. Just the comedy stuff he does. When he's in when he's in the bed and he's like, "Just because I have one drink, does that make me an alcoholic?" Um,
Right, right, right.
or the serious stuff he does, the actual performances where I feel like he puts his heart and soul into looking like the lead singer. Um, every time I think of like when they're trying to get on and they're doing those talent shows toward the beginning movie, and he has the parts where he's doing those like elongated um high notes and he's singing his heart out. Awesome stuff.
Mm,
Um but yeah, also just like the climax of the movie and him being in the church, and man, every time I watch it, it's just such a great moment of him getting his redemption.
yeah. Yeah, it was awesome, actually. Very, very cool. And he's got a career that goes back to 78. So this guy's been in Hollywood for a long time. He's done a lot of different things. He was actually on V for any 80s kids out there. You know what I'm talking about. He was in Sugar Hill. He was in Money Talks, Point Blank. He was in, oh man, all kinds of stuff, man. Again, since 78. Pretty cool. And something else that I really picked up on is that these five guys absolutely looked the part. Like if you had seen a photo of them in the suits and didn't know the actors, you would say, well, this has to be a group from the 50s, man, or the 60s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They look great, honestly. And not everybody can pull that off, man. Just nice suits don't necessarily mean anything, but they look awesome together, actually. Tico Wells as Anthony Choir Boy Stone, which is a great freaking name. He's a choir boy in his father's church. And his dad does, of course, not support his decision to become a music artist because why would he, Phil? That's too easy. But what was it he says to him on the street? He says he's nothing or whatever he said. I'm like, my God, dude, that's heavy-handed.
Yeah, there are some scenes like that. The Eddie Kane scene with his dad as well on the street, just like that.
That could be who I'm thinking of. Maybe that's who I'm thinking of. Yeah.
And his dad is like he's not. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the Eddie Kane where when he's saying you know what, you're nothing because I'm not. No, I'm nothing.
Right, that's it. Yeah,
You're
my
never gonna be
God.
anything because I was never anything. And his mom's like, "Why are you so hard on that boy?" And then he starts tearing up because I don't want him to be like me.
Well, look, you led with "you're nothing," and so am I, and then you're like, "Well, I don't want him to be like me." Well, didn't you just say he was nothing like you are? Like, I don't know.
Nothing, and you're never gonna beat nothing.
Yeah.
But no, Choir Boy's dad is a preacher, and he has the argument. And you can't serve two masters. That's what he says.
That's it. Yeah.
He has the argument with him on the phone when he's on the road as well, and he's like, "That's what you want me to be. That's what you want me to be. That's what I'm gonna be." And then it does like the dramatic zoom in on him leaving the Bible there.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, very good. Very good. At the payphone. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, he's great. Like, again, like he fits in. I mean, the group looks good. I don't know if I have it in front of me about whether or not these guys actually, because I believe the answer is no. I don't think Leon might be the exception because he's actually a singer. But I think the majority of the soundtrack was done by an actual group. I don't know that it was done by these guys. Do we know the answer to that?
Oh no, these guys are absolutely lip syncing. I laugh all the time when I watch the movie because Robert Townsend looks like the least believable lip singer in the movie. But yeah, they're lip syncing.
Yeah. I just assumed Leon at least himself was doing something, but maybe not. Billy Valentine, the Dells, that's who the group is. There's a group
Yes.
called the Dells that was the yeah, that's it. They're on the soundtrack. And all over it actually. Patti LaBelle's on the soundtrack. Can't go wrong there. Yeah. Andre Crouch. Holy Lord. Andre Crouch himself is on the soundtrack. Awesome. Yeah. And the soundtrack went gold. If that means anything to anybody, that's pretty cool. Not a bad soundtrack, Phil.
Great soundtrack. I don't think this movie works as well if the music is not also good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Totally. Let's see. We have done 4 of the 5. And we can't forget about Harry Lennox as Terrence Dresser Williams. Dude, Harry Lennox has got one of the most recognizable faces. Like he's one of those actors, Phil, that like when you see him, you automatically know him from something. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
He's that guy.
He's fantastic. Has a great career.
Yeah.
He's great in this movie. And some of the serious roles. If you had thought of Harry Lennox and some of the stuff you've seen him in before this, and you went back to see this, and you're like, wait, he's the dancer of the group?
Right. Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that. But yeah, he's great. He's great in so many scenes when they hook up with their manager and they bring in the guy to teach them how to dance, and he does like this whole dance routine and he thinks he just killed it.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
He's great in that. He's great in the serious scenes. Again, there's so many scenes where it's supposed to be serious, but I've seen the movie so much and it's so campy that I laugh at a lot of it. And so when he walks in and Eddie King is in there in the bed and he's like, what are you doing? Eddie turns around, he's like, you just don't know, man. You don't know what it's like to be Eddie Kane Jr. And then he gets mad. They ain't got nothing to do with what we're talking about. You said you were gonna stop doing this drug stuff, so we left you alone. It's so funny.
That's right. Yeah. Great. You know, one of the things I immediately remember him from is Ray.
Yes.
Like, yes. So good in that movie.
He's in Ray. He's in Matrix sequels.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in a ton of movies, man.
God, he has. Starting in 89. If you look through just his filmography, not his TV credits, he's done something. Let's see. Dude, 1993 was the only year he doesn't have a film credit. That is
Wow.
dude, it's insane. Like, all right, 93, 2010. Yeah, that's it for film credits, honestly. That's it. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. His TV credits start in 86 and almost identical story. He's got something. My God. Does the guy ever sleep? That's what I got to know. Jeez. He's Chicago native, as is Robtert Townsend, I believe. Don't know if I knew that. Let's see. Yep, Chicago for Mr. Townsend as well. Pretty cool. Yeah. Let's see. That rounds out the 5 heartbeats, kids. Then we have to talk about Flash. Michael Flash Turner, played by John Canada Terrell. Man. So perfect. Not a lot to do, depending on what scene or whatever, but like he ends up with the group. Flash is the best word for him, Phil. Like you kind of want to like him, but you kind of feel like, I'm not really here for the music. I just want to get rich. I'm just here to get famous. And I love the women. So what do you think about him in this movie here?
He's great. I love Flash's character arc that's laced throughout the movie. That he's a guy that they saw a bunch at the same talent shows that they went to. Because there's other characters that are in that same circle, like Bird and the Midnight Falcons.
Right. Yeah.
And he's one of those guys that was kind of hung around. So when he joins the group, it's like, oh yeah, it's that guy. And then he, of course, goes out on his own. And then even when they have their redemption and they get back together later, and he's got the video towards the end of the movie, which is hilarious. I don't know. There's so many scenes with the Flash stuff that's just really, really funny to me. When he walks out and after the Eddie Kane stuff where he's trying to get back in the group, and he looks at him, he's just like, "How does it feel to be me?"
Oh,
Uh,
wonderful.
yeah, but yeah, how many times have you seen the scene at the end? And how long did it take you to recognize that the white guys behind him were the white guys that were in the other label's office that were gonna cover their song for them?
Uh, yeah. Honestly, they're so recognizable because they're so freaking ridiculous.
Yes.
But no, I get what you mean. I may have done a double take at the first time I saw it.
Yeah, which is another. I don't care how many times I've seen the movie. I laugh every time at them going in that office and they come in. Sha la la ooh, ain't got no money. Ah ooh.
And the ridiculous, goofy white dudes with the bad hair who can't sing a lick. That's tied directly to a lot of the things we've talked about here on the 6M, Phil, about back in the day of the black artist. He wrote the song himself. There's a white guy covered it the very next week. I mean, literally 5 days
Yes.
apart.
Yes. Yes. All of the stuff with that and them talking about crossing over. Of course, the line, the JT line of why we always got to cross over to them. How come they never got to cross over to us?
Yes.
Such great stuff.
Yeah. And listen, for the record, we don't usually throw shade. Well, we have. All right, we throw shade sometimes. F. Pat Boone is all I can say. And if you know, you know. Freaking god awful. Okay? God awful. But yeah. And again, Phil, that's a trope. But a lot of the tropes we see in this movie, none of it's made up. Like this is all
Yes.
direct reflection of that time period and what these artists had to deal with all the time, man.
Yes. Yeah, the stuff where they were trying to first get on, and how they just had the van with their name on the side, that they were going to all of their little small venues and their small shows. That yeah, I all of that stuff hits differently because real artists had to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and making things harder, kids, is like good luck breaking into the music business in any era. But also, if you're a black man during that time period, I mean, a lot of the stuff you're seeing in this movie, no, the movie's not real. I get it, but man, yeah, I mean, the challenges are that much worse. Like, um, I don't know, from Nat King Cole on down, just it like selling like millions of records, Phil, and just treat it like I don't know, just it to this day it blows my mind. Like you'll listen to me on the radio, but when if you see me in person, you treat me like a second class citizen. I don't know, man, crazy,
Yeah.
crazy. That's where we are. Well, that's where we were. I'm sure we're still there to a large degree. We don't have to get into it, but man. Anyway, but yeah, we've mentioned the Temptations here, and with very good reason. A lot of this movie is based on the breakup of the Temptations, and uh, and Robert Townsend was heavily inspired by that, as we said before. And an interesting side note: he spent a lot of his free time on the set of this movie, writing the screenplay for Meteor Man. So he's doing a film. He's already. I got to start working on this other film again. Holy, that's awesome! Really good. And you mentioned the why do we have to cross over? Why, what's the matter? They can accept our music as long as they can't see our faces. De La Soul sampled that. I don't know if I knew that. 93 album. Was it Balloon Mind State? I think.
Yeah.
Balloon Mind State. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a really, really great Nas song that samples uh the song that they sing in the audition, uh Hard as a House.
Mm,
Uh Really, really great sample.
nice. And we've not gotten well, you know what? I'll save it. We'll get to her shortly because there's a nice little something something there to talk about here. So Hawthorne James as Big Red Davis. Shakespeare once said, one may smile and be a villain. Let me tell you, Phil, this is completely, absolutely, perfectly freaking cast. You don't trust this guy the minute he shows up. You just know something bad's going to happen, dude. He is awesome in this role, isn't he?
Yeah. Jimmy, it's been so long. um yeah, nah, you don't trust this guy from the very beginning.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a Barry Gordy / Suge Knight character in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He's so great. When we had a confrontation with Bird, and it gets like real serious, and then he comes back and he's like, "What am I? My office hours?"
Right. Yeah. Oh, and that
After he,
happened in real life too. What is the story with Vanilla Ice and Suge Knight, right?
yeah, where he hung him out of a window. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, he's great, man. He's great here. Like he just again another trope is that is of the record executive that's a complete or manager that's a complete piece of crap, and he's crooked and he's a bad person, and he's awesome in this movie, man.
yeah,
Very, very good. Absolute right actor to play this role as well. And like a lot of the guys we talked about here, this guy has been acting forever. He started in '79.
wow,
Yeah. Now his last, credited role was in 2016. Doesn't mean he's not still going to do something, but um, yeah, he a lot of stuff, man. Crazy. But yeah, he's excellent in this. Really, really good. Um, I wanted to get to her because I saw the little tidbit and had to mention it. I don't know what more we can say or what we can say about Diane Carroll that hasn't already been said. I mean, she is Hollywood royalty, I submit,
hmm
and been around forever. I mean, what an amazing career she's had. What do you think about her in this movie as Eleanor, Jimmy Potter's wife?
She's fantastic. And all of the scenes where she's given serious things to do, she nails it. The stuff at the funeral is really, really great.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I think that she adds so much weight to that kind of stuff because it feels like real. Like even when he comes home and he's talking about wanting to sign the Five Heartbeats, and she's just like, "Don't let them do this to you again. You've been through this before," and it's just yeah, such good stuff, man.
It's very good. And the tidbit I was wanting to get to was she turned down a role in Boys in the Hood to be in this movie.
I did not know that.
Pretty cool. Yeah. I wonder what role it would have been. Do we know that?
Maybe it was Ricky's mom.
Maybe. That makes sense. That makes sense. And we talked about the spot hanging him out the window. Supposedly that happened to Jackie Wilson.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Man, what a voice. Don't get me started on Jackie Wilson. Oh, love that guy.
Yeah.
But
yeah, really love the guy that plays Barry. By the way, he doesn't get a lot to do in this movie,
no.
but he's just such a great character actor. Of course, he's the main villain in Meteor Man. He's just so great.
Roy Fegan.
Yes.
Yeah, that's him. Fegan or Fagan. I assume Fegan. Yeah. But yeah, Diane Carroll's been around forever. I mean, if you want to talk about, I mean, hold on to something for this one. Her first credited role was 1954. Okay. And she's been going ever since. Oh my God. Her filmography will just blow your doors off, man. Film and TV both, and theater. She's done everything. Yeah. Been around for a long time. Worked with Sammy Davis Jr. I mean, when you've been around since 54 in Hollywood, you're bound to work with some legends along the way for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So, unfortunately, we did lose Miss Carroll in 2019, age 84. So she had a good long life, man. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. But yeah, it's awesome that she's here.
Tom Clark 6M Podcast is sponsored in part by Radius Law Group. Every day, Radius helps individuals, families, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations throughout North Carolina, Florida, and Pennsylvania resolve their legal issues by providing effective legal counsel in the areas of estate planning, as well as elder law and Medicaid. Radius Law holds the radical belief that working with a lawyer can indeed be enjoyable. So give them a call at 1-800-519-5667 for more information and tell them that Tom Clark 6M Podcast sent you.
We mentioned that she is Mrs. Potter. Chuck Patterson is Jimmy Potter. Like, you kind of know that she's right, Phil. Like, you kind of know he shouldn't probably get back into this world, but he just feels like he sees something in these guys and he wants to help them out and, not for nothing, get back into the world himself. But she was right the whole time, and he ended up getting killed in the film, man. Crazy.
Yeah, I think he's great as well. I think he adds so many layers to the character. There's just random stuff like the duck walking in with the bucket of chicken. Ducks in with the bucket of chicken. He's walking down that hallway and he walks past Jimmy's room and he's in there playing saxophone.
It's really good. It's really good. It's fun. Yeah. I thought he was great here, man. I really did. He's of course the Heartbeats manager and the guy that is screwed over, who by Big Red, who apparently Phil has screwed him over one time before. They alluded to that in the film, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. When we first see Big Red and he's introducing himself to the group, he's getting ready to hand them the business card, and we see Jimmy's hand come in from the side and grab it. Like, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. Crazy. So we mentioned the choreography from earlier. That is Harold Nicholas as Ernest Sarge Johnson. And he is actually from Winston-Salem. Didn't know that. We lost him in 2000 at age 79. He's a dancer, choreographer. So there's a reason why they cast him in this role. Very well done. Man. Really good stuff,
Sarge.
Man.
I love Sarge. He's such a great character in this movie, man. just the way he talks to the guys is hilarious. The way he throws himself into all of the dancing he does, so great. He's got a few one-liners in here. He's great. When they go see him in the hospital at the end, he's like, yeah, just a cigarette. He's like, what does Dresser tell him? All right, this one time because it's your birthday, and he's like, I got some in my coat.
He already had him. Yeah.
He already had him the whole time. He's been smoking this whole time.
Oh my, that's fun. Yeah, he is. You thought we went back with Miss Carol. How about this? His filmography began in 1932, Phil.
Wow.
Yikes. Crazy. The guy was born, let's see, in 1921. So he started acting at the age of 12 or 11 years old. Holy cow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Man alive. That's insane. Around for a long time. Had a good career, though.
Yeah, he's got he's like the short guy in the room as well. He like jumps into one guy's face at that talent show. He's like, let's take this outside. I'll beat you guys like you stole something.
Oh, that's good stuff. He didn't let's see, he didn't do too awful much after this movie, actually. Not too awful much. He had a few projects after this, but not very much. He was actually half of a tap dancing group. It was him and his brother as the Nicholas brothers, two of the world's greatest dancers. So yeah, I didn't even know that. It's pretty cool. Troy Byer as Baby Doll, Eddie's girlfriend, is in this, who's now an American psychologist, author, director, screenwriter, and actress. Troy Bayer. Troy Bayer. Yeah. Teresa Randall's in this. If you've paid attention, you know who Teresa Randall is. We talked about her in the Beverly Hills Cop 3 review. Don't anyone hold that movie against her, I beg of you.
Yeah. She's done other really good things. She was in the Bad Boys trilogy. She was in Girl 6, of course, the Spike Lee movie.
Yeah.
She's done a ton of stuff. Yeah, Spawn as well. That's right.
Yeah. A lot of stuff for her too. She started in 87. So yeah, been around for a little while. Pretty cool. But yeah, that is essentially your primary cast. We did mention that Townsend worked with Keenen Ivory Wayans on this, or actually on Hollywood Shuffle. And man, dude, during those days, there was so much content coming from Keenen Ivory Wayans, because you talk about a guy that was like Townsend, insanely creative and had all this energy and all these ideas and had his fingers in so many projects. I mean, dude, not to make this a Keenen Ivory Wayans, show here, but it's just imagine if we'd never got In Living Color. You don't get Jim Carrey, you don't get Damon Wayans, you don't get David Allen Greer, you don't get, any number of folks that we still enjoy to this day and love their work. I mean, I don't know. Whatever Hall of Fame needs to exist for Keenen Ivory Wayans, he absolutely ought to be in it.
Yeah, influential. Done a bunch of stuff behind the scenes that I'm sure people don't know about. When he said he had his fingers in a bunch of things, I immediately thought of him doing the Arsenio Hall sketches on In Living Color.
Oh, he had like fake fingertips on his hand, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. That's crazy. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, no, every now and then I'll think of like a random In Living Color sketch. Like I just thought about Jim Carrey doing the Vanilla Ice sketch, and then all of a sudden it was everyone on Twitter that day when I was thinking about it. I was like, what a coincidence.
Talk about quoting a movie, like that one line from Hollywood Shuffle when he's like, look at me. He said, I went from making $2 to $2.20 to $2.25 in 6 months. Now we're talking about making it. Freaking love that.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, man. Legend. Another one where he's made so many classic movies. Hollywood Shuffle, I'm Gonna Get You Suckered, which is incredibly underrated comedy.
It is. Very underrated. By the way, speaking of legends, we didn't even mention John Witherspoon in maybe the
Yes,
most normal role I've ever seen him have, Phil.
yes, yes. Yeah, no, he's great. He's like the disc jockey guy. He's on the
Yeah.
radio at one point. Then he's also like the MC for the talent show. And it's John Witherspoon. I've never seen him in anything when he is, and he's not just incredibly likable, incredibly charismatic, very funny. When he's talking about the fried gizzard sandwich,
Yeah.
he's, he's so funny, man. Rest in peace to John Witherspoon.
Oh, for sure. I'm telling you, man, I feel like this is the most normal thing I've seen him do. Because then I went and found the clip of him talking to Ice Cube in Friday, and it's night and day. It is absolutely night and day because he's like, when he's doing that thing where he's eating, it's like,
Yes.
come on, every time I come to the kitchen, you're in the kitchen. It's so good, man.
Every time I come in the kitchen, you in the kitchen, eating up all the food.
Yeah. Oh, love it. I love it. Yeah.
Didn't I
When
tell
he
you to take
starts
that
talking in
garbage
this,
out?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, when he starts talking in this movie, I'm waiting for it to get bombastic and it never really does. And I'm like, this is so weird to see him like this. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, because he's done so much over the top comedy. When you think of him in like Boomerang, and he's doing like you got to coordinate, or
yeah.
of course Wayans Brothers, which Wayans Brothers would not be the comedy that it was without him in it as Pops. Just so funny,
Oh,
man.
man. Big time. Big time. And again, back to Hollywood Shuffle, which we're going to have to do Hollywood Shuffle. But when he loses his mind or whatever, and he's coming up with the idea of the hoe cake, and he says, "Hoe cake, hoes got to eat too, right? Hoes got to eat." And they're all like, they don't want to tell him it's a bad idea. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
Love that guy.
absolute legend, John Witherspoon.
Anne Marie Johnson's in this movie as Sydney Todd. And I don't want to forget about her. Deborah Lacey as a Rose. Carla Brothers as Tanya Sawyer. Yeah, I think that's all the cast, man. Big cast in this movie. Oh, Tressa Thomas, Duck's sister.
Yes,
Forgot all about her.
yes. There's
Tell me
also,
that's her singing. Is that at least her singing?
I believe that she's lip syncing, because the voice on the soundtrack on that song is Patti LaBelle, is it not?
Man,
I
you
believe.
might be right. Yeah. Crazy. Movie magic, kids. Movie magic. What are you gonna do? So yeah. Um, what do you think? And I'm only just asking you this because in making notes for this and reviewing what people have said about it over the years, I've read different opinions about the spot where they're going through the South as being sort of shoehorned in. And I'm like, I don't know what everyone has a problem with. Like, number one, this kind of crap really happened.
Mhm.
Number two, again, Phil, it's back to the idea of we're trying to capture the vibe of the group, even though these guys aren't real, to give you an idea of what actually went down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think it felt shoehorned in. I felt like it was actually pretty safe because they could have shown something far worse happening at that time period in the South,
Mm.
given the atmosphere in the country, given what a lot of black artists had to go through. Yeah, I don't think it felt shoehorned in at all.
No, dude, some people just hate to be hating. But when I read that, I'm like, I don't know if I've ever even heard that about that scene. Like, it kind of feels like if you don't include something like that in this movie, then it's not as authentic as it could be. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I feel like you got to include something for goodness sake,
Yeah.
because it just tells the story. Did you notice, by the way, that Leon's got the same like do rag on his head that he did in? It looks like it from the Little Richard movie.
Um, it looks similar, like the same kind of scarf he has on.
Yeah, yeah.
I the interesting thing to me about that scene is it's very similar to a scene in Temptations where the bus has a flat, and they're trying to fix the flat, and some white guys drive by in a truck and are they're heckling them,
Mm.
and um, David Ruffin tried to chase down the truck, and he's like, "I got something for you."
Ooh, yeah. I mean, the fact they make them sing, they tell them they're a singing group, and it's like, well, sing for us. I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know, man.
Very, very awkward.
Very awkward. Like, what do? You know, if you don't do it, you know what's going to happen, and they just get away with it because that's the world we live in, and the world sucks. So
Yeah. Also get the classic scene of them driving away, and Duck is singing the national anthem.
yes, wasn't that something? You know, there's a few different moments in this movie, Phil, that are very poignant that you kind of don't
Yeah.
expect. They kind of hit you from out of nowhere, don't they?
Yeah.
That was one. I found it interesting when the cops pulled him over, they all had their hands on their guns. I'm like, why? What are you doing? It's not a bunch of terrorists in the car. What are we doing here? Oh man. Terrible. I thought it was cool they had it advertised on the side of the car like it was a touring bus. The name of
Yeah.
the group. That was pretty cool. And make do with what you got, man. And like the big red logos in the shape of an apple. Big Red Records.
Yes.
Yeah. It's different. But well, there's your movie, kids. A couple of the things to mention here is that to promote the film prior to its release, Robert Townsend, along with the other actors who portrayed the fictional musical quartet, performed in a concert with real-life soul R&B vocal group The Dells, one of many groups that inspired the film. The Dells sang and recorded the vocals as the actors lip sync, which we knew that already, as we've covered here. Due to the production's budgetary constraints, Townsend used little-known actors of the time, with exceptions of Leon, Diane Carroll, and Harold Nicholas of the Nicholas Brothers. He had considered, you'll love this, he had considered Denzel Washington as Eddie King Jr. and Whitney Houston as Baby Doll.
Wow.
Dude. The
Had to
former
pay them.
was not, I mean, talk about a different movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally different movie.
The former was not cast due to budget concerns, the former being Mr. Washington, and the latter passed on the role as it was felt to be too small.
Yeah.
Mrs. Houston felt it was too small.
Yeah, I thought about that when you said Whitney. I was like, yeah, it's kind of a small role compared to a bunch of the other stuff that she eventually did as an actress.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh man, now I want to see a young Denzel Washington on stage doing this because it reminds me of the Equalizer when he starts doing the Pips dance moves in the warehouse. Remember, like,
Yes.
oh, now I want to see him. Can we just get the Wayback Machine and just make that casting happen now? Oh, that's great. Very, very cool. So look, in the grand scheme of things, Phil, when you talk about like how important a movie is, I want to say the words to the culture, but I don't mean to sound like I'm talking down or anything like that. Like, not just that, but again, as we said before, for what Robert Townsend has accomplished in his career, how important do you think this movie is overall? If you had to, I mean, it's you talking, so you tell me what your thoughts are on like from that perspective.
I think it's a cult classic. It's no way to get around it. It's absolutely a cult classic. It's one of those movies there. I have met strangers and we're just talking about random stuff, and like Five Heartbeats will come up, and it's like, well, of course I've seen Five Heartbeats. Like, who hasn't seen Five Heartbeats?
Yeah, for sure. I agree. It's again, it's got moments. It's got moments of silliness or whatever, but when you take the movie as a whole, it's just a fun flick. And here's another one that people debate quite a bit in terms of fictional bands, fictional groups, and movies. Like there's the Wonders and That Thing You Do. There's um, who was the band in Almost Famous? Stillwater. So, like, what do you think about how does the fictional band hold up? Pretty good, I think. What do you think?
I think they hold up pretty well. I think they're on a list with a lot of other fictional bands. They're up there with what's the Mark Wahlberg fictional band? Um, Steel Dragon.
Steel Dragon. I thought you were going to say the Funky Bunch for a minute.
No, that's a real group.
Oh, I see. That's right.
Fictional group. Yeah, Still Dragon. He's in a movie where he's doing the rock star.
That's right. Jennifer Aniston's his girlfriend in that movie, isn't she?
She is.
I'm just saying. I haven't seen that movie in a while. Now I want to go see that movie again. See, I mean, Zakk Wylde's in the movie, Phil. I'm a big Zakk Wylde guy. So, like, freaking great guitarist, man. Freaking phenomenal. So I can't hate on that movie too much.
Yeah. Stand Up and Shout is just a great record as well.
I think so. Yeah. And there's was it Vesuvius from The Rocker? Have you seen The Rocker?
I think I have.
It's
Vesuvius.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. The band is utterly ridiculous, but the guys that actually did the records sound awesome because they're just mimicking the 80s sound. You know what I mean? You have to look it up. It's Pompeii Nights is one of the songs. Like
Pompeii Nights.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's got I'm trying to think of the guy who stars in it from The Office. Rainn Wilson stars in the movie. So fun flick, by the way, dude. You should check it out. It's a fun flick. Emma Stone's in it as well. Well, kids, there you have it. There's the 5 heartbeats. Other than quoting the entire movie from start to finish, which we can do, kind of already done at some of it here. I encourage you guys to go watch it, man. If you haven't watched this, I actually checked it out on Max. So if you don't have Max, you have my permission to go steal it from somewhere. Don't really do that. That's not cool. Okay. Creators should get paid. I'm saying, but, get a copy, man. Go out of your way to see it. I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it. If you haven't seen it in a long time, go check it out again. Because I guarantee you'll believe it's aged well. Because I think it has. Has it aged well for you, Phil? Like, does it ever? You said you watch it every few months. It never really gets old to you, does it?
No, it's one of my favorite movies, man. I watch it all the time. There you go. It's a comfort watch for me.
Oh, I got a lot of stuff like that. It's like comfort food. It makes you feel good, you know. Yeah. Some stuff I'll put on in the background. Sometimes it's just an audio book, or it's a comedy album. It's something that I'll just like. It just makes it. Sometimes it centers me. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that does it for me for sure.
Yeah.
So there you have it, kids. There's the film. Go check it out. Phil, let's try to put a button on this if we can. What's your last word on the 5 heartbeats?
Classic film. I feel like there's just something about it it's just comfort. It's a comfort watch for me. It's one of those things that makes me think of just like I don't know. It might be an old person thing now because I guess we're all old now because this movie is as old as it is. But it just makes me think just like as a simpler time where you could just go to Blockbuster and find a movie, and then that movie ends up being something that follows you for the rest of your life.
Good call. Yeah, this movie is old. Oh my God, it's so old. I mean, it's not, but it makes me feel older than what I am. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, just like somebody just recently put up a clip from Above the Rim, and they were saying that movie is 30 years old. I was like, what?
I literally had no idea it was that old. That is insane. I didn't see that coming at all. Well, now I'm thoroughly depressed. Yeah, because when 5 Heartbeats came out, I was 18. Man, alive. A long time ago, brother. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's right, because I'm looking at it now. Above the Rim, 1994. So,
wow.
Yeah, 30 years old.
Well, I'm going to go be depressed for a while. I need some comfort food / music or something to, bring me back down to earth, because there went the rest of my evening. Jeez. Well, kids, there you have it. Go enjoy the film and have fun watching it. Be on the lookout for Hollywood Shuffle, because I promise you that's coming. And we will get to it very soon. Check it out. When you see it, give it a listen. Follow and subscribe on the show, and share it with your friends. It's much appreciated. And we'll see you then. And in the meantime, that is the 5 Heartbeats.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Check out our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 6M Podcast. We'll see you next time.